Shalom Akim. First, Momos give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashmi El-Shai, Bashmachak Kudash, double honors unto the elders of Oscar Millstone, the elders of Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashmi El-Shai, serve him in truth and sincerity. Yes, our honorable brother Chayabah from G-Man's Plaintables camp, come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yes, so this lesson be based off of the recent news. I was on Google. Got this article from breakingthenews.net. It says, Trump, no World War III if we're smart. And hey, this is, one of the latest news from Narrow in Reincarnation. That he said, no World War III if we're smart. Which, well, as we know, the scriptures 100% prophesy the opposite, that there will be a World War III, without a doubt. All throughout the scriptures going to the Third World War. So it says, United States President Donald Trump stressed on Monday that the world will not face another world war if we're smart. Speaking to the press during a peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, or however you say that, it says, Trump said, let's see how you say this.
Sharm el-Sheikh.
Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yes, Sharm el-Sheikh. It said, Trump said that the peace agreement between Israel and Hamas signed today is a guarantee that if another world war erupts today, one day, it will not be in the Middle East. He thanked all the parties that worked on achieving the ceasefire for reaching such an incredible historic breakthrough. It says, breakthrough. The greatest deals just sort of happened, Trump remarked. And that's what happened right here. And maybe this is going to be the greatest deal of them all. And, you got the video right here. And hey, that's right there. He said two things that are 100% false. Well, he said that there's not going to be a World War III, and he also said that if there were to be one, that wouldn't be the Middle East, it shows you that this man is a devil. Because this is the 100% opposite from what the scriptures say. Let's go ahead and cut the first point. It says, Revelation chapter 11 and 14, the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Exactly, so the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Yeah, and we know, of course, the second woe meaning war. So the second woe being, well, of course, World War II. It says, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Yeah, and this is symbolic unto the Third World's War. So boom, but the World War II is already past. It says the third woe cometh quickly. Yeah, and the third war is coming quickly. So Trump is saying the third war, the World War III won't come. Well, guess what? The scripture says how the third World War is coming quickly. And what, we can see all these things happening around the world that's leading up to it. Of course, you have Russia, China, you have BRICS, and you have the NATO and EU. And we see all these conflicts that are happening around the world. And what keeps on getting worse, especially when Nero in office, the cruel Lord and a fierce king. Without a doubt, those attributes apply to him. This is, yeah, and also the second point we're going to cut, it says Revelation chapter 16 and 13, and you can see the subheader and the BLB, the subheader is Armageddon. It says, and I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Of course, we know the dragon is Esau. Esau, Edom, of course, being what the so-called white man. It says, and out of the mouth of the beast. And it says, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Yeah, we know the mouth of what the beast is, the EU and the NATO. And the false prophet, of course, is the Roman Catholic Church. It says, verse 14, and for they, so Revelation chapter 16 and 14, for they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God, or it says God Almighty. Yeah, because Esau goes forth among the whole world to deceive them, but to deceive these other nations. We're working miracles. That says what spirit of devils? Yeah, because that's how they go amongst the whole world. We can get Habakkuk chapter 2. It goes deeper into that. Well, it touches more into that. It says, so Revelation chapter 16 and 15, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Yeah, because Yahushua is coming back unawares. Yahushua is coming back when you least expect it. Yahushua is coming back like a thief in the night. And Yahushua is coming back during World War III. Why? Because as we know, it's going to be a third world war. The nuclear war is going to be popping off. And Babylon and Great will be destroyed, which is America. And we're going to get into that. But of course, Yahushua is coming back to deliver his elect from that destruction. And to completely subject the heathen. Because of course, Yahushua is coming back to deliver the elect and of course, to set up his rulership, which all the other nations, other than the nation of Israel, will be in subjection, in bondage, and in slavery. It says Revelation chapter 16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Yeah, and Armageddon really is going into the Middle East. And that links up onto Joel chapter 3 and 9. It says, Joel chapter 3, and we're going to keep on reading from verse 9 on down. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. So the war is being, the point is that war is being prepared. War isn't being, eased off from, or war isn't settling. Or basically, the preparation of war isn't settling. No. War is being prepared. It says, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Yeah, all these militaries. All these militaries are being prepared. These other nations are preparing their militaries for the near upcoming war, which we can see how it's on the horizon. It says, verse 10, be your plowshares and the swords, and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. Yeah, we're seeing these other nations, they're getting stronger by the second. What these other nations who were once known, obviously their military capability wasn't as or strong as it is now. Now is so we can see how it's much, these militaries are much more powerful that these other nations have. It says, Joel chapter 3 and 11, some of yourselves have come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Exactly. So all the heathen are going to gather round about. And where? It says, verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Of course, when the valley of Jehoshaphat is going into the Middle East. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Yeah, again, so that's where Armageddon is going to take place in the Middle East. So there will be a war within the Middle East. Well, World War III, against World War III, there's going to be the war in the Middle East, and as well Babylon the Great, which is America, will be destroyed. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 9, it says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain." Yeah, we know Babylon. This isn't speaking about ancient Babylon, this is speaking about modern day Babylon, which of course is going into America. You know, we get, of course, Babylon within Revelation, this referring onto the same Babylon. Of course, what Jeremiah chapter 50 is, again, referring onto the same Babylon, which is America. So it says, "For lo, I raise," Jeremiah chapter 59, it says, "For lo, I raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country." Yeah, and the north country is Russia, and the assembly of great nations from the north country is the Russian Federation. It says, "And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain." Exactly. It says, yeah, "From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain." Meaning, because, of course, we know how these arrows are symbolically referring onto the nuclear missiles. Because again, what the scriptures go into the arrows, how they're going to be shot from the other side of the world, you know, from the ends of the earth. Of course, you know, that doesn't mean that the earth is flat. But, you know, the ends meaning from the other side of the world, from the other side of the planet. It says, "The arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain," because, again, the nuclear missiles have a highly advanced targeting system. And anyways, the Spirit of the Lord will be in these missiles. Because it doesn't matter if, you know, let's say whoever's controlling these missiles, they want it to go here. If the Lord wants to go, you know, completely somewhere else, then the Lord's going to have it go wherever he wants those missiles to go to. It says, "None shall return in vain." Yeah, because as soon as you're shot, they're going straight for their target. And what they won't miss. They're not returning. They're going straight for their target. Which is what? Babylon and Great. The arrows will be shot towards Babylon. It says, verse 10, "And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Yahweh." Yeah, because Chaldea, again, referring unto the same place. Sometimes what the scriptures refers, you know, it goes by twos and threes, speaking about the same place. So Chaldea, again, is referring unto the same place. It says, "And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Yahweh." Exactly. And what, as we know, these other nations are going to team up with one another to take down this place. As we know, you know, these other nations are getting further and further away from America. And what Trump is speeding that up. You know, what of course, breaking off from America. Again, Nero and reincarnation is speeding that up. So what? Hey, what? So Babylon will be spoiled. All that spoil her shall be satisfied. Again, so Jeremiah 15:10, "And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Yahweh." Isaiah chapter 13:1, it says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles." Yeah, well, of course we know that the banner is the scriptures, the Bible, and what the Lord is putting the Spirit upon his prophets. Showing with, of course, what the true prophets, his prophets, the men in great Millstone and the like-minded brothers, and what prophesied upon the high mountain, which is of course Babylon and Great. It says, "Exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles." Exactly. And what did this word has gone out? So what? Everybody's hearing this word, even what the elites, the ones all the way at the top. you know, what they 100% know about us. I mean, what Trump himself, of course, himself said that, basically paraphrasing, you know, we have to beware of the prophets of doom. That's what he was basically saying. You know, and well, obviously we know that that was referring on to us, because we are prophets of doom. Because we're prophesying the doom of Babylon the Great, making us prophets of doom. So we know that he was referring on to us. It says Isaiah chapter 13:3, I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. It says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people. A tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. Exactly. And what that you know, those are going into the missiles. And what, you know, however the Lord Yahweh wants to orchestrate. I mean, how the Lord's going to orchestrate it. Again, the Lord's going to have it exactly how he wants it. So he's going to send his angels to do his bidding and make it exactly how he wants it to have it. It says the noise, Isaiah chapter 13:4, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle, meaning the Lord's going to stir this. Let's go ahead and get this word for mustereth within the Hebrew. The Hebrew word being bakwad, meaning to attend to. Muster, it says, number, reckon, visit, punish, appoint, look after. Appoint, assign, lay upon as a charge. Exactly. So the Lord's the one who's stirring this up. The Lord's the one who's appointing this battle. The hosts, the Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. It says, noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustered the host of the battle. It says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Exactly. And what those missiles are going to be like as of a great people, like, noise of a multitude, because it's going to be shot. And you can imagine they're going to be like an army going straight for the target. It says they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Exactly. So what, the missiles are going to come from a far country, literally, Russia, China, whatever country. Yeah, and of course, as we know, America is located in the Western Hemisphere. So you're going to have countries all the way in the Eastern Hemisphere shooting the missiles. And again, we know this, we know this isn't speaking about literal arrows, because, we just read how this is symbolic onto arrows. How those missiles are going to be symbolic, or how those missiles are symbolic onto arrows within the scriptures. So we know those aren't speaking about literal bow and arrows, traditional, of course, arrows. No, of course, what is going into the nuclear missiles, which are the future, of course, which are the modern day arrows. Well, of course, with the future modern arrows. And what, you can go into how basically let's go ahead and look it up real quick. Let's look up how long does it take for a hypersonic missile from Russia to reach America. Let's go ahead and look this up. It says the flight time for a Russian hypersonic missile to reach America can vary, but intercontinental range missiles can travel across the distance in approximately 30 minutes. Some hypersonic missiles are capable of speeds exceeding Mach 5, over 3,800 miles per hour, which allows them to travel extremely quickly, but the exact time depends on the missile's specific type, trajectory, and the distance it needs to cover. Exactly. So around 30 minutes, man. So you can imagine. You can imagine that. So 30 minutes all the way from the other side of the whole planet, you're going to have missiles reaching here. Hey, showing you what Yahweh by Simeon-Affliction is preparing, because these other nations aren't doing it by their own will. They're doing it by the will of the Lord, Yahweh by Simeon-Affliction. He's putting the spirit upon them to do this. You know, within that movie Oppenheimer, well, basically, he was able to, you know, come up with basically the project. You know, it started with just a dream, but with just a vision. And when he woke up, he put it into effect. Well, as scripture say, the Lord, basically paraphrasing in Job, you know, the Lord's the one who basically, sends visions and, controls a man's mind, basically, path, the next step that he's going to take. You can go ahead and get that within Job. Of course, basically paraphrasing. But what the point is that, going back to the article, it says, Trump, no World War III for smart. And again, Trump doesn't decide the fate of Babylon the Great, or the fate, or what's going to happen in the world. Yahweh by Shemiel is the one who decides that. Well, we have the answers. The answers are within the scriptures, which the prophets are breaking it down. Of course, what the prophets are breaking it down. Yahweh by Shemiel puts his spirit upon the prophets to break down this word and make it plain upon tables. This is Isaiah chapter 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Let's start at verse 8. It says, remember this. So Isaiah 46:8, remember this and show yourselves men and bring it again to mind, all you transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me. It says, yeah, we know. Of course, it says God right here, but we know within the Hebrew, it's Allah. Of course, we know the world English uses God to say the name of the Lord, or to refer unto the Lord, which is incorrect. God is just a title. Goes back onto the Hebrew Allah, which means power. And again, it says right here, verse 9, Isaiah chapter 46:9. Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from the ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Exactly. So the Lord is above everything. The Lord is above all. And whatever he wants is going to come to pass, and you can find exactly what he wants within his word, within his book. So we have the answers, and we know what's going to happen. We have the prophecies. So whenever you see anybody speaking against the prophecies, you know that they're a devil. They're speaking lies. Anything that's against the scriptures is a lie. The real truth is found within the scriptures. Again, so we have the answers, and we have exactly what's going to happen within the scriptures. And Yahweh Shemiel Shai, the word of Yahweh Shemiel Shai, that he has given the spirit onto us to understand it. The eyes salve to get it. Of course, what the ears to hear and the eyes to see. So we have it. So we know. Yeah, so I believe it's the point. The point is that, again, we have the answers. We don't need, we... Again, so we have the answers. Trump doesn't have the answers. Anybody again, nobody has the answers. Really, the prophets have the true answers. But of course, again, it's given from Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai. What the Lord is the one who has the true answers. And the Lord puts the Spirit upon his prophets, his mouthpiece, to break it down. So I believe it's the point. Lord's all you brothers are edified. Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai, B'Shem Kakarash Brakathum. Shalom.